Thank you everyone for coming down all this treacherous weather. Is there any agenda additions or deletions? I have one thing here that the Colonial Life folks aren't going to come down tonight. They're sick, I think.
I'd like to leave it because I'd like to still have maybe just a 2-minute, 3-minute discussion about it.
All right. Is there any other deletions or additions? Hearing none. I'd entertain a motion.
Anything else for the agenda tonight?
Yeah,
Okay.
I sent you guys a letter. Well, listen, I you know how long I've been. Tomorrow, I turn 71. So a three more years, flowers up on top. Okay? I sent you a thing, the project we were working on up back, where I'll be resting 2 years. You sent me a reply and said, that wasn't up to par. Okay?
I don't remember
So what?
doing all this,
What?
but I don't remember. How long ago was this that we did this?
Well, I worked in 5, 10, 15 year wax. I haven't been in here in 10, 12 years. The letter I sent you was what I wanted for the piece of thing that dead people are buried on my land.
That's across from where your family. Isn't there some family members that are interred right there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay?
And then
All
right.
them other people that are in there, they're dead and buried and everything else, they're all on my property. Okay, I sent you a thing. We joined forces years ago about, I spent a ton of money on this, drawing all this up. We joined forces years ago, and you guys don't work in the capacity that I work in. And we were going in it together. You guys gave me $2,100.
That's to pay a legal fee.
Then you guys sent me a letter that said we gave you $2,100, and I said, listen, it's still taking time. I'm still meeting with people and stuff like this. And people are still drawing and everything. And you said if you don't sign on the dotted line in 30 days, we want our $2,100 back. So I gave it to you. Okay? And I sent you a letter and said I'm getting old and everything. I'll settle for this. You sent me a letter and said that's too much. So I want you to send me a letter and see what you think is fair.
Is that's you recall this? When we did
Before me.
was
Long time ago.
you were on the board
The
then? Joe?
letter wasn't just a few years ago here.
Yeah.
When it started, it was a long time.
Yeah, and something about, if I recall, it was a $65,000
That
number.
was to get just your heart started.
It did.
So I wanted to see if you were still alive.
And
Okay? Now you send me one and see what you think's fair. Okay, settle
So
us
we're-
up before I die.
We're talking about a cemetery, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Right? What cemetery are we talking about?
Spafford Cemetery.
Okay.
You don't recognize this gentleman?
Lives just over the bank.
Okay.
Just for the record, state your name.
Gene Stone.
Right.
She
Now
made
you
me
are.
write it. I don't do that really well.
Okay. So this is before you and I.
Yep.
This is back before we were on the board.
A little bit about stuff.
It
What's that?
started back then, but when was the last time you came in here?
In
Was
this place? Oh
A
God,
long time ago.
10.
Were you on the
I
board
would
then,
come here
George?
once in a blue moon.
Hmm.
But I sent you the letter just a little while. It wasn't too long ago because I had a person help me. I don't write that good, so she did. Okay. I'm a farmer. If you want if it's concrete or whatever you want that done or something like that, I'm good at it. I don't write yet. But I go up back. I talk to those people up back in the cemetery, and I wonder what they're thinking now. They're way back in the 1700s. They got to be rolling over in their graves because they fought the British for overtaxation and misrepresentation. We got the British down in D.C. That's how our country's going.
So we'll
You guys get your heads together. It doesn't have to be today, tomorrow, or next day, or whatever.
I want to do a little research so that we can get everybody.
You take your time.
So Katie, let's make a little note that we want to start going back onto the probably
50, well, no, probably
No.
40 year. Maybe 40, I don't know.
No.
Probably 30 year.
when.
I
What?
believe we already have a file established.
Yes.
I will help Katie locate that.
Okay. So that way we can get everybody up to speed on the
No, you
conversation.
take your time, look it all up. You might get lucky, I might die first. That ain't, you're not gonna be lucky then, because then you're gonna have to deal with the wickedest woman in the world. That's my wife.
Uh-oh.
I know.
Remember
That's
you're.
why I'm glad to be deaf.
Remember you're on tape.
That's fine. I don't care. She knows it. I tell her every day. You know?
Okay, so long story short, we'll pull the file then, and we need to get up to speed with where, all I remember, Gene, to tell you the truth, is I think it was wrapping up when I got elected, and I was told that it was essentially dealt with, so I'll get up to speed as well, so we can, so,
That's
I own it.
that was by advice of Bill Bloomer, who was our who is still our lawyer in this, and he sent in that file. You're going to see some information from Bill. So
Wow.
so let's pull it and get up to speed so that we can bring conclusion to it all.
and
That's fine.
if we have to, maybe we could have a workshop so that when all 5 members are back in the state of Vermont.
Well, that's fine. Whatever we need to do, but I'd say we need to pull it and get up to speed first.
Yep. So this week, if
You all set?
can, we'll work on it. Yep. We'll look at it, Gene.
What?
Old Vietnam vet.
What?
Say you old Vietnam vet.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I got my days.
Yeah. I remember those days.
What?
I was down that street myself.
Yeah, it's that was a son of a bitch over there.
All right. Thanks, Gene.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Gene.
I'd ask for a motion with regard to the meeting minutes of January 9th.
So moved.
Seconded.
All right. Did anybody find anything
I did not
out
see
of
anything.
order?
No.
Okay. You're all right with it then. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Highway, Road Commissioners report.
Just Katie and light on this. We're working on the box culvert bridge on Creek Road. Trying to get it scheduled and stuff for pre-bids and site visits for the contractors that are interested. February 8th, was it?
Yes.
Was our pre-bid meeting. with
On
the
site?
On site with the contractors. And the bids will be open 26th, was it?
22nd.
22nd of February.
Have we any indication of if we've got interested parties yet? I mean, any rumblings, like people reaching out for info or anything like that?
Of contractors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gave the engineer list.
We
And
made
he's-
up a list of 8, I think it was 8 of them on that list of area contractors, and also Tyler had suggesting a couple more.
Okay.
And I know he's reached out to them directly.
Good. I mean, it's not a small dollar amount. It's not a small project.
Right.
So I would think people would be interested in it.
Right.
Good.
We still having problems with Western Star that's leaking antifreeze, and I've talked to Charlie Boyce and Colchester, and it's going to be going up there. He was going to call me back today to see if he had the parts in stock, or I didn't hear back from him.
You guys are gonna drive that up?
We'll just drive it up,
Okay.
and they'll use some more antifreeze, but
Not bad enough it can't get there.
right. and it won't hurt. So we'll have to run the clutch fan on manual, and we're thinking the problem with the clutch fan too,
Okay.
also. The other thing, we want to do the snow plowing on roads and stuff, across the roads, on residents and stuff now, or?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Tom LaVictory's here. I asked Katie to print out what the statutes, online statutes are for the state, and then I made a copy for Tom. Do you have any questions after reading that, Tom?
No.
Okay. We have, you want to speak to Cash, what your concerns are?
My concerns are with people plowing across the road and leaving piles, and this is not the Tom's case, is when they set, like overnight or something, they freeze. Or they leave ridges in the road, and then we go back and when we plow the next day or something like that, they're frozen. When that plow truck hits it, it shoots the plow truck.
Yeah.
So we're looking at a safety factor on that part.
Now, are we still? I mean, I know we had a couple problems areas in town. Of course, this is the first what I'll call real storm. So this
Right.
is, we haven't really had a real snowstorm this year. The ones that last year the sheriff's department had to visit, are we still having issues, or are they pretty well
Yep,
taken care
they're
of?
taken care of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know that's. I mean,
I was actually impressed today when we were plowing. So
Katie, is this ordinance available on so people can read it on the town site?
I can put it, or I can send it to Gloria to put on the town
Yeah,
site.
let's-
But it is available online. Like anyone can access those
But
statutes.
I think people are more apt to, instead of going online, to the state and stuff, to look at, and it's not that big an ordinance.
basically posted on our website.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
at this point, it might be in the archives because it has
I think
been
I might
it
have
has
posted
been
something last
posted
year.
before.
Yeah.
But I know, for example, Wallingford posts it at the beginning of every season, and they just put it up, and it says, "Reminder: snow's coming. Don't you can't do this
And
per
this is-
per statute because it's state. It's not us. It's the state." And
We used to do
What's
that all the time with the muddy roads.
well, back when we
Season, yeah.
posting the roads, sure.
I remember you used to post that on the town report too. There used to be a warning about pushing introduction of snow on the roads, and it would be, in fact, the town's response would be a warning, and then whatever the response would be after that.
We may have done that a couple times too.
All right, just for the fact that we're being taped, depositing snow onto or across certain highways prohibited. And this is Vermont Statutes Online, Title 23, Motor Vehicles, Chapter 13, Operation of Vehicles, and the brief paragraph would be, no person other than an employee in the performance of his or her official duties or an other person authorized by the Agency of Transportation, in parentheses, in the case of state highways, or select board in the case of town highways, shall plow or otherwise deposit snow onto the traveled way, shoulder, or sidewalk of the state highway or class 1, 2, or 3 town highway. So I think it would be a good thing for us to get this on at least the town site. Do you have any comments, Tom, that you want to?
I don't have an issue with anything you're saying. The only issue I have, the way my parking lot sits, it sits on a downslope.
Mm-hmm.
It's long. It's probably 200, 250 yards long. So, in order for me to jockey the snow around to get it
onto my property and keep it onto my property, sometimes you have to, sometimes some of it ends up in the road.
Mhm.
Because I gotta make a swath down through north and south, so I can at least get it started out in front of the cars to get it to move away, so I can plow north and south into, Cash knows where, there's two banks, there's one on the north end, there's one on the south end by the telephone pole. So what I try to do is get the snow going one direction or the other to get it to go to those banks, and yes, sometimes it ends up in the road, but I try to get it out as fast as I can. The problem with coming from the road down is if I plow down from the main road towards the cars, the snow ends up piling in front, and then I've got a 4-foot ridge in front of everything that I can't get my cars down. That's the trouble with it. And it's time consuming, and there's a lot to it, and it's a lot of work, and it's very, very difficult. Apparently I have somebody across the street that every time I fire that plow truck, it doesn't matter if there's an inch or there's a foot and a half. She's gonna call the town, she's gonna call the cops, somebody's gonna come visit me and tell me what an awful thing I'm doing. But I can tell you this, there's not one speck of snow on that road when I'm done at the end of the day, or within 10 minutes of me putting it in the road, not even 10 minutes. I go right back through and I get it out as fast as I can. There's never been an accident in front of my place, there's never been a slip or slide, nothing. I have some disgruntled neighbor that hates everything I do right now. We've been doing it for 45 to 50 years. You know that, Mike. It's never changed. We've never had a problem. But now, apparently now there's an issue. It's very, very difficult to go 250 yards with a snowpack that's this heavy and move it that far with one single plow truck. I usually have Aaron Coda come in. You know that?
Yeah.
I have Aaron come in. And with his big V plow, he tries to move it as best that he can. And there's times when he can't even move that much snow off my parking lot because he has trouble. Now, Cash and I talked last year about maybe moving the front line back another 10 yards so that my truck wasn't in the main road plowing, snow in the road. Because the closer the cars are to the road, the closer the truck has to get. Because I have to get to the front of them and move it kind of towards the road to get it off the front of the cars. So I moved them all back so I could go straight through and do it that way. But there's still times when there's so much snow, there's just nowhere to go with it. There's nowhere to go. I mean, 250, 300 yards of snow makes it a very big snowbank, both ends. And I pile it as high as I can physically pile it to the point where you can't even see around it sometimes. But I don't have a loader, so I can't physically pick it up, put it out in the field. So I try to do the best that I can, as fast as I can, as efficient as I can, as quick as I can. My father, when he was there, he had 5 guys working on it. And many hands make light work. Well, it's just me and one other guy. And my wife, she takes care of all the book work and all that stuff. She's not out there doing that. It's me and one other guy. And we do the best that we can, as fast as we can. And I don't mean to leave snow in the road. I don't want snow in the road. I don't want snow in front of my cars. I want snow in my parking lot. People can't get in. They can't buy cars. I got to get it out of there as quick as I can. I spent all hours of the night out there, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning out there. I'm up at 5. I'm out there doing it. And it just makes it really difficult when I got one person that's calling and giving Cash a hard time because I'm doing it. It's my job. It's my work. It's what I'm trying to do. I want it done as fast as I can do it. I guess that's all I got to say about it. I don't know what else to do. I'm not, I guess fortunately we're not in the city. We're out in the country. I mean, coming either way to my car lot, you can see us moving and doing our work. I mean, you can see it coming a mile away. When you're coming from this way, you can see it coming down around the corner by Santa Cruz, and if you're coming up through, you got more than enough time to slow down. Yeah, I've been on the road before with snow. I've had a couple piles of snow, and I've had to move them and get out of people's way. It's just the way it is. And normally people up our way don't complain. They don't say anything. It's just Vermont. It's the way it is. We're up in the country. We're trying to get things done. I'm not trying to be malicious. I'm not trying to do anything harmful. I'm just trying to do my job and get it done as quick as I can.
Well, I think that it's good that you came down to the meeting, of course it's taped.
Cash,
And,
said, come down and
Yeah.
I'm here.
and I know folks have called you.
Oh, yeah.
And,
I
and
mean,
That's-
I got a ticket issued today.
I have to respond to
I
whatever.
understand, but I want to know
things.
how many other tickets got issued today for plowing across the road. 'Cause I went down Middle Road and I can count a whole lot of them. A bunch of them.
Mm.
And down Clarendon Avenue all the way up into our town. I'll bet you I was the only one that got a ticket today because of one person. And I'm not saying you. I'm just, I mean,
Right.
I don't care about the ticket. Whatever. I'll deal with the ticket. I don't care. I just want you guys to know that I'm trying to my very best at all times to get every ounce of snow away from my building and out of that road as fast as I can. It's more of a pain for me than it is for you, believe me. Because people, once they drive in, they
Oh, I
get
realize
stuck.
that.
They're stuck. They can't get in. They can't get out. It's just that down slope. It's so difficult. It's not a flat surface, and there's a lot of contours, and there's a lot of
Well,
jockeying that has to go on to move that snow.
So,
with that being said, too, is the shoulder in that road. It's actually, it drops off.
yeah.
And me and the guys actually talked about it, is paving a shoulder, the shoulder on that road right there.
are you talking?
Because it's starting to break the,
Are you talking on the well, what would be the south end, or are you talking the north end towards the like where it goes around to the bridge?
Well, where your office is, north.
Yep.
It's really breaking.
So that edge is breaking up.
Yeah.
There was a
And-
3-foot slope that they had paved in there a couple, like 5 or 6 years ago when they did it. They put a 3-4 foot apron in there, and it just
You guys are popular.
with the combination of the salt and the plows and the traffic, it's basically it's on a crown.
Yep.
And it cracks and it breaks. It just breaks and then it gets brittle and more brittle and brittle. Then you got pieces. And you got pieces going up and down the road. And I mean,
And pieces ended up across the road on somebody else's
Oh,
lawn.
believe me. And they think that that's me doing all that. I mean, they came over today and started hollering and screaming at me about gravel that's on their lawn in the springtime, and they're blaming me for it. I said, you don't see the 10-foot swath the plow truck leaves going down through here when the snow's 10 feet high off their blade?
When our shoulders are high and the wings out there,
I'm
that
blaming
it's
you.
gonna shave.
I get
Yeah,
it.
it's gonna shave it.
I mean,
That's where
I've
the
been here
gravel
my
comes
whole
in.
life.
Yep.
And my grandfather obviously had the house right there. And every spring, it was my job to start 10 feet up on the lawn and rake all the gravel down to the road that the town flung up there all winter long. I just dealt with it. It's just something you deal with when you grow up here. I mean, it's not. I don't know how to say it. It's not what it used. It's not like it used to be. Let's put it. You know, George.
Oh, yeah.
You've been up and down my road for years. Has there ever been a problem?
Not for me.
Okay.
So I mean,
I
the good.
basically got a really disgruntled neighbor that sits in her window, drinks coffee, and waits for me to fire that plow truck. I'm not even kidding. It's that bad.
So that's something for us to obviously be mindful of if we've got one of those situations going on, because we've dealt with those off and
And
on
and
around
honestly,
town.
sir, I really don't understand how it affects her. Because she's retired, she sits in her house all day, she doesn't really ever go out of the house unless she goes and gets bread and milk or something. But all she's got to do is get in her car, drive out of her driveway, and drive down the road, which is more than taken care of by me. She never has slipped, she never has had any chance of an accident, nothing like that. So I really don't know how it affects her. She's literally across from my office door. She takes a left turn, drives 35 yards past my car line. She's free of me. So I don't get why she calls every single time I plow snow. She ought to be thankful, because I can guarantee you nobody cleans it up faster or better than I do in front of her house. So I really don't get it.
And you understand, I gotta respond.
I understand. But she's had a sheriff there 2 days in a row. And she said, and her husband
Really?
came over yesterday and accused me of it being my fault, that she got hung up in her driveway which I never go anywhere near her driveway. Her son plows it with a four-wheeler and a snow plow. She got hung up on a snowbank in her driveway, and they blame me for it. So I don't get it.
And I'm assuming, I mean, I know you said some snow ends up in the road, Tom, but
Absolutely.
but otherwise,
It's unavoidable.
it's not like you're plowing it onto their property. You're keeping it on your side. You're just having to clean it back up
If
afterwards.
you go up there right now, you're going to see a snowbank on her side of the road that when I tell you from the floor to right there, it's that tall. And that's all been done by the town. Anything that I put over there is minuscule compared to what the town puts over there every storm. And if you look on my side of the road, there are snowbanks almost as high as the ceiling
On the ends of the lot.
on my property,
Yeah.
on both ends of my car lot.
There is.
I try to limit the snow on that her whole side of the road every storm as best of my ability as I can. My grandfather used to live over there, all right, on that side.
Yep.
And one time a few years back, she called the sheriff. So the sheriff decided to sit up on West Timoth Road, which I thought was a riot. And he waited for me to plow snow across the road. Well, I did. I plowed the front of my grandfather's driveway when he was alive. I came from my side of the dealership across the road and plowed out the front of his driveway for him so he could get out, and he came down with blue lights and wrote me a ticket for plowing my grandfather's driveway, which was plowing snow across the road. It's nuts.
Okay.
But I deal with it. It's what I deal with every single storm. I expect it. I already know there's going to be phone calls and complaints, and she tries to hide the fact that it's not her, and she does. She does it every time. We all know it.
Well, I think it's good for us to have this conversation, and
That's why I came down. I don't want any animosity. I don't want any problems. I don't need problems.
That's why I asked him down tonight. I said,
Yeah.
We need to.
yeah, no,
So
absolutely.
if there's anything you want me to do, let's hear it. I'm willing to listen.
It's
So
a- it's
I understand too a little better what you're saying about. I mean, probably the days I remember when your father was still there, they used to move all the cars to one chunk and then you could have a free. But with only you and one other guy, that's probably not even
And
feasible
that-
now,
and
right?
And even at that was very, very difficult because you're still running into the problem of where do you put it all.
Yeah.
You've got snow, you've got the building, and then you've got 10 yards to the road, and you've got 10 yards worth of that much wet, heavy packed snow. Where are you going to go with it? Whether you move all those cars or not, the snow's got to go somewhere. You can't put it all up against your building.
Sure.
You rot everything out. You rot the foundation.
Yep.
The water gets in. It seeps into the offices. It seeps into the barn. You can't just put it against the building. It doesn't
Sure.
work that way. So you have to go around the building, and and as you go, you're piling, and you're going towards the road, and then bang! All of a sudden, you're 4 feet into the road with snow. And I try to get it out as fast as I can. So I go up and I come back down. I go up and come back down. I try to do it as quick and easy as I can do it.
Well,
I
Like I
don't
said-
know what else to tell you other than
It's
I'm gonna self-admit that every time I do it, it's gonna happen. If we get significant snow, it's gonna happen. I'm gonna put snow on the road, and there's nothing I can do about it. And I'm not trying to be bigger than anybody else here and say that I'm above anything, because I'm not. And if I have to get a ticket for it, I guess I'll eat the ticket. But I don't know what else to do. I can't do it any other way than I do it. And I'll try to keep it away from her side as much as I can. I have no problem with that. But I'm just trying to do my job.
as far as I know what we've talked about before with the ones that do leave ridges, and that's a problem. Has that, I mean, as far as you're concerned with Tom, has that ever been an issue where we've seen
The only-
ridging or anything?
don't see no ridges.
Okay.
The only time thing is if we're all done up there and where he has pushed on the road, there's snow on the road.
Because it leaves a little
'Cause
bit
it
of a
leaves,
film or whatever.
You just don't
Okay.
get it off unless you put more salt on.
Okay.
Other than that, no.
Okay.
No, it's clean.
This morning I had an issue because I blew a fuel line in my plow truck.
Which you can't, obviously, we can't foresee what is going to go wrong.
I'm going somewhere with this a little bit.
Yeah.
So, of course, we had a foot of snow on the parking lot. My plow truck was down to Allen's since Friday. They don't work weekends. We obviously got snow, Monday? Did we get snow Monday? Yeah, we got snow Monday. I did the whole thing with a hand blower. How can you imagine doing the whole thing? I do it. That's what I do. All right? So I did the whole thing with a hand blower. Well, my plow truck wasn't back this morning. I got business to run. I did it with a hand blower, the whole front of the lot into the second line. And when I was trying to do it with a hand blower, even if you throw it out in front of you, all it does is pack and pack and pack, and it just gets big, it gets thicker and thicker and heavier to the point where the blower won't even do it. So I blew it towards the road. God forbid, yes, some ended up in the road. Next thing I know, here come the blue lights, because I know she's waiting, and and I'm doing this all by hand. I wanted my plow truck back in the worst way, but I didn't have it. So I got the phone call at noon. My truck was ready. Me and my guy went down there as fast as we could. Got back, and there was 3.5 to 4 feet of wet, heavy snow in my parking lot that I had already just cleaned up that the town put there. Now the sheriff drove in to write me a ticket. He could barely get in. He drove through. I mean, it was higher than these chairs. It was like that high in front of my building, and I had just cleaned it. And so I said to the sheriff, I said, now, how do you expect to even get out of here, and let alone me clean this with a regular cab Chevy truck? I had to hire Gary Maneri to come down with his V-plow, plow it all out of there. That cost me money. And it didn't need to be done because all they had to do was lift the blade, and I would have cleaned it all up once I got my truck back. But nobody knew that I didn't have a truck. I mean, because blew the line, I had to do it all with a hand blower. It's tough. It's a lot of work.
Still not done.
Yeah, we're still not
Cars
done.
are still buried.
We're still not done. I had to deal with phone calls that I was in trouble. I had to deal with the sheriff that was writing me tickets. I had to deal with going to get my truck. I had to pull a guy out of a ditch. I do 4 or 5 other driveways just to help people out for nothing. I ask for nothing. I want nothing. They're just neighbors that I've helped all these years, and I just do that anyway. And I'm still not done with my own stuff.
There's also been times that he'd clean out the bottom of Higher Road.
A lot of times.
Yeah,
Because I know the bus needs to get in and out of there.
school bus, yeah.
So I know when they're running behind. I know when they're running behind. I know when they are because the roads are covered from my place all the way to the Bible church. I know when they're running behind, so I'll just do the bus stop or something, or I'll run up and down Higher Road and cuff it out real quick. It's only a year. I don't care. I've lived there my whole life. I don't mind doing this stuff. It's what I'm used to doing. I just don't need to get grief over it, only because I'm just trying to get my work done. That's it. That's all.
And it is a difficult situation where you got the road here, you got the parking lot, and you got the barn. Everything sets that way.
It's tough, yeah.
And I don't know how you actually plow by the cars on an angle like that and not slide it into the cars.
I'll tell you how I do it now. Before, I was pretty meticulous. I could get within 1.5 inches, 2 inches of the front of every bumper. I'm pretty good at it. But now I take the push behind blower, I do the fronts and the backs, and I can get a fine edge right down the bumper to where there's only maybe that much snow hanging on. If I can make 2 or 3 swipes, then I can get in there, angle the plow, and then I can dig the snow right out of there without moving cars. That works pretty efficiently,
I
actually.
wonder how you're doing it.
And right now, from last time I drove by anyway, you're pretty well stocked with
There's a
stock.
there's a
I mean,
hundred
you're
up there. Anybody
yeah.
that thinks this is fun, come right up tomorrow. We're
Yeah.
half done.
Yeah. I was gonna say you've got a lot of stock on the lot right now.
Blow and clean off 100 cars and plow and move between them and
Yeah.
all that garbage. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that. You know, they see, oh, used car lot and the cars out there. Well, who the hell has to clean all those cars off so you could sell them?
Well, the other thing is bad weather, and they're not there to see what he's doing.
Yeah,
When
Yeah.
the, when
Yeah,
the,
2
when the
years ago-
process happening.
2 years ago, I had 150 cars up there. And my father, he's so old school that, every storm, we're moving them. I just figured out a different way to do it so we didn't have to move them. Okay, but one year, a few years ago, I moved that car lot 18 times.
oof.
150 cars.
Yeah.
And did it in a day and a half, 18 times. You move a car lot as big as mine 18 times, 150 cars, clean them all, move them, blow them all, plow everything, and then move them all back and see how you feel at the end of the day. Only to have some neighbor call up and call the sheriff on you because you get a little snow in the road. I mean, come on.
Well-
It's difficult. I really, and if I could see where she was coming from, I would understand, but I don't, because I clean it up, and I told her husband this morning. I said, listen, if you want, I'll come over and clean the gravel off, the 3 feet of gravel that goes onto your lawn that not only me, maybe, but the town puts there. I'll do the 20 minutes worth of work it's gonna take me to blow that off with my power broom in the spring if you'd like me to do that. He walked away from it.
Mhm.
So, whatever. To me, cleaning that 100-yard strip of road is nothing. If he wants me to do that, no problem.
Where are those folks originally from?
Orwell, I believe.
I don't think that's appropriate to go into with this situation, but
Well,
I would.
I wanted to know.
I know, but
I know what you're thinking, Mike. I get it.
Yeah.
so, like I say, I think this was a valuable. We've got it on. It's on the record. I think that,
So what's the solution?
I don't know what the solution is. I don't
And
have
then
one.
I
don't have
mentioned
one.
Tom earlier when we had phone conversation. Our job is to keep the roads clean.
Yeah.
And
Well,
the problem
that's right.
is when there's snow on that road, there's no place other to go to it
Yeah.
other than like every road we have in town to the side of the road. And I know what he's saying.
Yeah, I mean, I plowed snow for 10 years. I get it, and the thing is we didn't do lots with the frontage that you've got. I mean, you if you had a lot with, 30, 40 feet, whatever it was, you pushed it and you did what you needed to do, and we were also dealing with stuff where there wasn't obstructions. You didn't have cars, lined up. You didn't have that type of situation. So. I don't know what the answer is. I think that we probably should have maybe two representatives, maybe you, Mike, or you and Bob, whoever's available. Maybe should have a conversation with. I don't even know which sergeant we've got now, so I can't even say who. I don't even know who's in town right now. So.
It was Officer Ricketts that showed up today, and it was
Okay.
a young girl that showed up yesterday.
Okay.
So she came yesterday?
Oh yeah, I got it twice in a row, 2 days ago.
She gave a
Yeah.
warning.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
I believe Avery Schneider is supposed to be.
That is Avery, yeah.
So what I would say is maybe we just need to have a conversation with them just to say, we understand what the state law is that they have to enforce, but can there be some reasonable, whatever you want to call it? Can there be a reasonable agreement?
There has to be a reasonable agreement.
Yeah.
Not give the option of them to.
I mean, because we're going to be dealing with this with Wednesday into Thursday when we get the next date. So I mean, that's. I haven't seen next week yet.
Thanks,
I'll
George.
do my absolute best to keep it out of the road, but I can't make promises that something's not gonna get there. And I'll clean it up as fast as I can. I just don't, I'm just hoping I don't get a visit from the sheriff every time that happens.
Why don't you, Tom, continue to do? You've come down here. You've made us aware of what some of the issues are for you, and I think that it sounds to me like you're personally trying to really go faster, or whatever term you want to use, to clean that mess up. If there is another issue,
The problem is, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah.
the problem really is places to put it once I get end to end, and the banks get just so high, I
yeah,
can't go anymore. That's the difficult part.
where you need big front end loader to move it all more to the back of the lot. But what I was going to say was, continue doing the best you can to keep it clean. We'll continue to come up with the town rig there and not go on a private property, but to work with you. And if the neighbor still is having an issue, then I would personally invite the neighbor down, you, and we could go into an executive session and have a discussion at a
Is that
at
getting
a
on a personal
meeting.
level, though?
Huh?
That's getting on a personal level.
No, it's not.
Neighbor.
No, because it's a town issue. And one of the 5 reasons for getting into an executive session is personnel, and that's a personal problem. So I think that we would be justified to do that.
I think we'd have to look. I think we'd have to look into that a little bit
Yeah,
before
we
we schedule
We
something.
need to look at that, cause
Yeah,
I
'cause-
think that's, you get in a neighborly
We-
I don't wanna say dispute, but neighborly.
Correct. Well, we've always,
We're
as a town, have always stated that and it sounds like maybe this isn't a full blown dispute, but it's certainly there's there's a rub here clearly. We want to be cautious how we approach that, but I think again having a conversation with Avery, we've got Tom's commitment that he's going to do his best, which I think he's been doing anyway. It sounds like, and I think we just gotta. Again, there's no silver bullet answer here. That's the struggle. There's no one answer that's going to solve all the problem. I mean,
Well, I think the really truth of the matter is, we've invited Tom down. It's an open meeting. We've had a discussion.
Yep.
However, we have not had the same kind of a discussion with the individual who was concerned. So that's what my suggestion was, that we
sure. Well,
then
and the
follow up.
and the reality is our meeting's open to anybody, any townsperson that wants to come talk. So that's the reality. So if that needs to happen at one of a future meeting, then that can happen at a future meeting. But I think this has been good to at least have Tom here, so it's if people watch, they can see, on Peg TV what's going on. And I mean, the reality is that we live in Vermont. We all deal with snow. We all do the best we can with snow. We certainly try not to get in the road crew's way when we're doing it, and try to keep it going in the right directions. And I think Tom's made that commitment tonight that he's going to continue to do his best to keep it out of the road crew's way, and do as best he can to keep it contained. And that's, I think, as far as we can go tonight.
And I feel bad too, but there's no way of getting around it. Is when we have scraped the road, that's where it ends up.
Just let the blade. When you go by, I'll take care of it.
You're talking about if you're in the middle of working on it, right? That's what you.
I'll do it when I
Well,
do it
even,
anyway.
we came at 3:00 this morning, and that was
Well, obviously you've
first
got to.
bang,
I mean,
and all of a sudden, I weren't up there because that wasn't my route.
Mm-hmm.
But I can just imagine there's 3 feet of snow all the way down along that road
yeah.
in front of his cars.
Yeah, it was not good. At all.
I mean, unfortunately, when you're plowing the roads, you're not going to be able to.
I can't lift the plow up and drive by.
You can't. I mean, I realize you can't leave 6 inches of snow on the road. I get that. But what I think I'm hearing is if he's in the middle of working, and doing his thing to get it to the end of the lot, I can understand trying not to blow it all back in on him, so to speak.
Right.
Or
And that happened today.
Yeah, it was double worse this
or even.
And
I mean, knowing how plows operate, even if they would just slow way down, so even if they're just berming it, keeping the berm down so it's not throwing it,
Just
I just want to say too, I've got nothing against Cash and the boys. They're
Okay.
great. They're the best road. They're great at what they do. They're a great road crew. Great. I've known Joe since we went to high school together. I know all these guys. We're all friends. Daryl Tripp was the road commissioner. We're all friends, and got zero problems with the road crew. Zero.
Well, I mean, like I say, I think we've gone as far as we can tonight.
Yeah, tonight.
But I would say this has been good, and we'll do the best we can.
and I'm probably this won't work where the silo is. Is there any way to have a path, like move 2 or 3 cars all the way back, so that you push to that silo and then push it straight back down in the back? Would that be easier for you, so you wouldn't have such a long run?
I could try it.
I'm just running suggestions.
You're just saying, so leave like an alleyway that
Yeah.
you could push snow through?
So when he pushes
That's what I've got now.
front of his office, he pushes to the silo,
Yeah.
And have an opening for that, go right down by that silo, straight to the back field there where you had the pumpkins.
So you're telling me put
I-
no cars from the office to the silo?
No,
I can do that.
no. From the office, like if you're gonna push from the office south, because you're gonna bunk it a lot of snow, so you're not pushing as much at once going the whole length. If you went and only pushed from the office to the silo, and if there's two car, I know you're gonna lose storage.
I got enough room. I can jump.
You're basically just saying leave an alleyway
Leave
so you
an
could
alleyway.
shove snow down through.
Then
That makes sense.
you have to turn the truck and go down towards the field.
might
So that
work.
means, you know,
Anything's worth a try, right?
That might work. I can
Something
try
like
it.
that.
so that holds your volume down
Right.
halfway.
Rather than having all
Yeah.
that snow.
Mhm.
Makes sense. I mean, it's worth a shot.
I mean, like I said, I feel bad that we got to plow roads.
Yeah.
And
My
just,
problem's not
there.
with you, Cash.
I don't know. Well,
You know that. We've talked about this.
But I mean, hey, it's anything's worth a shot once, right? I mean, just to see if it would work.
This is good. We're having
four
a
lines of
conversation
tires
where
will
we're
be
getting
hard
ideas
moving,
thrown
you
out
get-
there.
I can divide them up. I can move them. If it has to be that
that
way, I can make
eliminate your, pushing so much volume.
And that could only be just during the snow season,
it. Yeah.
and then return to your full lot like you normally would.
Well, I like the idea that the cars are back off the hill anyways. I did that this summer because him and I talked earlier this spring about it. And it actually gave people more room to park. And they
Park.
weren't as close to the road when they were
Actually-
parking. They were parking actually down on the flat more, which is nice.
Do you have less issues pushing north, Tom? Really? I mean, for
Issues pushing north.
Like-
It's narrower.
it's okay.
You get that, and that's where the problem lies because that's kind of like the edge of their property where their property starts on this. Yeah, there's not a lot of frontage between the north end and the actual road.
Yeah.
There's probably you're only talking probably from here to
Damn.
that wooden door right there, from the front bumper of my trucks to the edge of the road.
The
is
parking
right
lot.
there.
Because you
only got basically two swipes of a plow
to get that end.
to get that out of there. So you see what I'm saying is once you initially go first swipe, you've already got a ridge that's 2 or 3 feet tall. You do it one more time, now you got 3 or 4 feet, and you got to still push all that north.
Yeah.
It's real heavy and it's really really hard on a lighter duty plow truck.
Sure.
And I get it. I'd love to be able to spend $100,000 buy a loader.
Yeah.
Wouldn't we all?
Yeah.
A couple of times I've had Jeff Grumblitz come up with his tractor and
Push it up.
and he's taken his big 10-foot bucket and he's put it right out in the field for me.
Yep.
A few years ago when we got that big storm, that I couldn't do the whole thing without a loader.
Sure.
Jeff and Aaron came up and pretty much
Actually,
knock it out.
long terms, it's cheaper to hire something like that
Well, but
than it is to own that piece of equipment.
It
and
is.
And plus put a man in it.
Yeah, I mean, but those storms like that, they'll cost me $1,500-1,800 every time.
Yeah.
Between gas, fuel, manpower, hiring people, it's not
Labor
fun.
and everything.
and
It's tough.
yeah.
It's a tough racket. I mean, and I wish across the street would understand that this is not fun for me. This is a loss of business. It's a loss of money. It's a lot of things.
Well, it certainly sounds like maybe, like you say, maybe the alleyway idea is something to try. But I think, like you say, it's at least this conversation's on the record,
Productive.
and I think that I still think that I would recommend a conversation with Avery maybe next time she's in, if she pops in, just to have
The sheriff.
just to have a conversation from our
I
side.
think we ought to actually contact her.
Yeah, no,
Because
there's nothing wrong with
What I just heard, I didn't even know she showed up yesterday.
yeah.
And apparently, if she's driving through or gets a phone call from a whoever, neighbor or whatever,
Yeah.
she's instantly gonna be
Yeah. No,
with her
because
scratch pad.
especially it's on the radar now, so we want to make sure that we have. That's why I said Wednesday into Thursday is your next one. So
We have her I can call the sheriff's department.
okay,
I think she should be on tomorrow.
I don't think I mean everybody's in agreement. I don't think we need a motion regarding that. I think we
No.
just say just have a conversation with Avery, just so that it's
That
so. But I for one thank you for coming down.
No problem. But the other gentleman that showed up today, Ricketts, might wanna talk to him too, cause he's
Yeah.
the one that showed
Okay.
up today.
Maybe let them have
His
a.
first name, sorry, the deputy maybe,
I
he
never
drives a
talked.
black SUV.
He called me and I don't even remember his name. I don't know if he ever
Ricketts
talked.
was his last name.
Last name is Ricketts.
Yeah.
Okay.
That or I get hold of,
Or just get a hold of the sheriff.
yeah,
But
Oh.
that would be, I think, good.
we'll do that tomorrow.
So, okay.
Get on my notes.
Thank you much.
All right, Tom,
Well, thank you for coming
thanks
down.
for coming down. Thanks for coming down, Tom.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
See you guys.
All right. Like that coat.
Thank you.
See you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To save some time, I believe,
Yeah,
is it safe to say everything's in order for the pavement reimbursement so we can make short order of it?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that, is it the chairman signs it on behalf?
No,
All of us?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we sign the, paving reimbursement sign off.
is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any further conversation? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? I'm making sure I got the right,
That's it.
this one.
So, probably on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait, the grant was for 32,000, and I think Bill paid like 72, but that's because, originally on the grant, it was for the shim coat.
That's right, because we opted to do the extra work, right?
So,
Yeah.
but the shim coat should be over what the grant was anyway.
This is all South Creek Road, right?
Yes. And it was a pleasure to plow that road now
I bet it is.
and less salt, less material.
I don't have to haul sap south anymore. I wish I had been done 5 years ago.
You haven't put your driveway in yet either.
No, I know. I gotta do that too.
All right, anything else under highway?
I'm all set, thank you.
All right, approval of select board warrants,
I saw the time cards. I don't think I've seen the actual bills yet.
big one. That's the
Whichever one's got the bills in it.
That's that one. I think it's that one.
Yeah, I think you're right. And any public comments?
Could I make a comment? I know we left the insurance on the agenda. The one above it.
Insurance one, yeah, I
I
already,
had a comment on that.
I had a comment on that. First off, so my question ultimately is this anything employees are even interested in? Because if the employees are not interested in it
Why
at
go?
all, why waste our time?
This is the first I've seen it.
Okay.
So I can speak to this. So Colonial Life stopped into the office, wanted to know if we were interested in, or if the board would be interested and the employees would be interested in taking advantage of the services they have to offer. They're very similar to AFLAC. They said they have a couple programs that AFLAC doesn't offer, but other than that, they pretty much align themselves with the similar programs to what AFLAC has to offer. They didn't know if the board would be interested in switching from AFLAC to them or to offering them as well in addition to AFLAC.
sign this.
I had told them that that is a board decision. That isn't anything that any one of us in the office can make that decision about. They were hesitant to come before the board anyways, and then the gentleman who was going to come to speak is actually ill, so he wasn't able to be here tonight and was potentially asking to reschedule. So
Again, so my question is, can we?
currently we have two, just for your reference, we have currently 2 employees who are utilizing AFLAC. So it's not
don't have
very many.
So what I would recommend is find out. Maybe you can find out from the 2 guys, and just say, is there any interest between around the office? Can find out if there's any interest. If there's not, there's no point in wasting time in a meeting.
Nope.
That's
Their
just
time, our time.
so. And not only that, like you say, out of respect for them, you're going to waste their time too. So My gut is if most people are established with Aflac, they're probably not going to buy another supplemental from a different one, or
Change.
I don't see why you would change. I guess it's possible, but I don't see why you would, because you've already got it, and they're all probably within $1 of each other anyway. You're going to be paying for the same thing. So that's all I wanted for the 2 minutes.
Do we have a explanation paper here or something, or from Colonial Life?
They did not leave any paperwork.
I'm sure it's online.
So maybe we can, between Katie and you and 3 of us, or whatever.
Just find out what they offer.
Just say, okay, guys interested. It has nothing to do with the rest of the employees of town?
I mean, yeah, we offer,
It's offer. I mean,
No,
you've got.
I mean, like, the transfer
so
station.
anytime we have Aflac
Wow.
open enrollment, the transfer station guys, the office, everybody's invited to come.
Right.
The transfer station guys never do come. They've
So-
never expressed
So like the
interest.
listers aren't involved, or,
They could if they wanted to be.
no, I'm just asking, because I don't know.
So that's why I say circulate it among your guys, circulate it among the, and you can just so we've got our bases covered. You can ask the transfer guys,
Does
but
Gloria have health insurance here?
that's why I say everybody in the office is going to have to be asked.
Right. I can ask specifically if people are interested, but I can't discuss who has what in public.
Okay, no, all right.
You just did, though. Part of the road crew.
I said that there are 2 employees currently who have.
I just thinking.
So do
Move
you want
on.
us to get a consensus and get back to you before
Right.
I follow up with them at all?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Before they're rescheduled, because again, it's a waste of time if nobody wants it.
Thank you.
All right, public comments. Hearing
I
none.
might have something a
Oh.
little later.
A little later. Why not right now?
Well, I was waiting for something else to happen.
Okay.
You can make the announcement now.
Okay, thank you. I had a conversation with Bob Bixby, and he couldn't be here tonight because he has the flu. So he wanted to make the announcement tonight, but he has decided not to run for office. And he wasn't sure about anybody else coming in to talk about it or anything else like that. So I just want to let the public know that he's not interested in running. He wants to take some time off and stuff like this. But I think he will be missed. He was always a good guy, and he really cares for the town. And you know, he's probably 25 years maybe on the board.
It's a long time.
Yeah, so he will definitely be missed.
And George is showing interest.
George, do you have
Yes.
any comments?
I thought it would be important for that to be said. Some weeks ago, Bob and I had a conversation that he instigated, and he was telling me that he was seriously considering not running for his own personal reasons, and suggested that I might think about it, which I was a little surprised, but I mulled it over, and in the past, Bob and I have most of the time share similar opinions on any issue. And I've always had a lot of respect for the way he approaches things, and I said that I would think about it. He approached me again and wanted to know if I thought about it, and I said yes, I had done some thinking about it. I talked to two fellows that I tend to work with now about the issue. And so I guess I'm throwing my hat in the ring with Bob's blessing, so that's where I'm at. And I could use a couple of signatures, I don't know if I got yours yet.
Is
I already
there,
signed, yep.
is there,
Most of there haven't, I don't know.
is there,
I've already signed
there's no
enough.
conflict.
No, you only signed the list of them. I'm going to still run for both in case somebody else shows up.
You can you can still hold that position as a lister.
I can. How?
No, he won't. We'll. That's an incompatible office, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
So
That's what, that was my,
so we'll be having to recruit another lister, is what you're telling us.
There is something to think about, Bob, if you are, Robert, excuse me. If I can't hold the lister office and vote on anything that comes up that requires 3 people to vote on an issue. I could be a contracted consultant, if you will, or some such thing as that.
As a lister.
Yes. No, I would do the work. I could do the work. I mean, towns all the time in Vermont now are hiring appraisers because they can't get anybody to run to the office.
you sign it?
I already did, actually. Yep.
So that is a possibility. In other words, I would not be able to make any decision. It would have to be, well, currently it'd be the 2 folks that are there would make decisions based on any issue that comes up. Such as, for example, at the start of a year, we're supposed to have an organizational meeting amongst the listers and elect a chair. Well, I wouldn't be able to vote on that, for example.
So we'll have to mull that over and take a look at that then.
Yeah, and we probably don't need to until after we see what happens.
See what happens on, what is it this year? March what?
March something.
7th?
But anyways, if I got elected to both, then I would resign, you know,
Yeah.
resign from the lister, and then you guys could have the discussion as to whether or not you want to do the other thing.
And certainly, I would be supportive of George working in a, hourly contract or, basis. I think it's an interesting concept. But, I would hate to lose altogether, George's experience and expertise and things he knows. Helps to, helps us to talk things through, certain situations and, how did we do that one before kind of thing. And so if such a thing were possible, certainly I would be supportive of it.
I understand that he tells a good joke too from time to time.
Don't get him going.
Well, he tells a joke, yeah.
Don't open the door.
We have to talk about the good part.
Even the school finds nothing.
No comment.
Well, it reminds me of what happened 2 or 3 days ago. The guy stopped me because an officer of the law stopped me and he came up and figured out his speed. He was going to write me a ticket. And I said, oh, all right. So he started writing me a ticket, and he started almost crying. He looked very sad, and it looked like tears were coming down his eyes. I said, well, what's the matter? You're writing me a speeding ticket. And he says, yes, but it's a moving violation.
You're right, I did
With that, George, we wish you the best of luck.
I did open the door, didn't I?
You did.
All right.
Anyway, I need 2 of you to sign that thing for me.
I just did. Did you sign it? Are you in favor?
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I signed it, but, man.
What's that?
Glance at this quick. I'm just gonna
Oh, you did
glance.
it already. Damn, you're good.
I was gonna put in a jet airplane fold up and
Good.
I used to do that 100 years ago.
George, you getting that?
I'm getting it.
Okay,
Try not to mess up Bill here.
gonna make him earn it.
old business, we
Thank you.
just took care of some old business. New business, budget approval. Yes?
Robert, do you wanna grab the budget? There's 3 copies there, they're 5 pages apiece. For you, Mike, and Cash.
Arigato.
And we already had the report. Hold this here, the budget.
The only thing that I have to add to this discussion is we did have a request for an appropriation to go on the ballot come in late. It came in January 18th. The letter's dated January 18th from the Rutland County Parent-Child Center. I had committed that I would bring it before the board, but that also they're due they're due December 31st every year. And we needed to have the warning done for tonight's meeting as well. So,
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that we stick to our due date and we do not accept any late admissions to the ballot.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, so it's unanimous.
the comparative budget report that you have before you is what was discussed during our budget workshops.
Mm-hmm.
And end result for the fiscal year 24 budget proposal is that we'd reduce the fund balance by $65,000, while also having a slight increase to the current tax line, so that it would be a small impact to the taxpayer.
School budget's probably gonna be the thing that,
Actually, there's.
Good reminder that we have nothing to do with the school budget,
Right,
and that's
right.
totally out of our hands.
mm-hmm.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we go ahead and approve, I'll be so brave as to approve the budget and the warning.
Together. I'll second that.
And I think sign off on it.
That's a part of it, yeah.
All right, there's been a motion made to accept the budget and the warning. It's been seconded. Any other comments? We had signed that, right?
Yep.
Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Anyone disapprove? Somebody hiding under the table.
The only thing that I noticed, so we don't run into the issue last year, is Article 1 worded properly.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
at the meeting the night before, it shows that it's the one about the treasurer being able to collect taxes. It's voted from the floor, so you'll notice on the warning, it does not say Australian ballot after it, so that the moderator, whoever that may be, needs to remember to
George.
have that voted on from the floor.
Okay.
Sounds like you've
Just wanna
been
make
made
sure.
aware of something. So that's been approved.
That's the last.
No, Selectmen's report. Katie typed that up.
I glanced at it.
It's pretty detailed.
Yeah.
I think it's very good.
Very detailed.
I'm gonna sign that, Cash.
Do you want me to add something about snowplow?
The only thing I wondered is if we should remove the paragraph about fireworks? That's the only thing.
I don't know, I think it's important for us to keep reminding people.
Okay. With that, I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve the selectmen's report.
There's,
Second that.
all right, any further conversation? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It's unanimous, Katie. All right, Heidi, do you have anything you'd like to report?
Just quickly, we did get the results back from our external audit that happened a few months ago over the summer, end of summer. And so I've provided you each a copy with their letter addressing the select board, and also a copy of their completed report on last year's financials. So they did not have any audit adjustments. So means we're doing what we should be doing. So that's good news.
The things are proper.
Yep, everything's good.
Perfect.
I do have extra copies if folks from around town would like to grab a copy. Copies are limited, but I do have them.
I'm gonna put my copy in here,
Yep.
and if somebody, and you don't have a copy, then maybe you can voluntarily go through Mike's secret drawer.
So that was our external audit. Our internal audit, I do believe the internal auditors, your elected town auditors, will be commencing having their first meeting, I believe, tomorrow. So they're going to be working to put together the town report for everybody.
Is that all?
That's all I have.
Katie, do you have anything you'd like to report?
I don't have anything tonight.
That's good. Do you have something?
I was gonna wait.
No.
This is the end.
This is it.
This is
Okay,
it.
No, I was gonna wait for 2 weeks. And
Oh,
I
you got it.
apologize for not, I wanted to be here for George, on George's behalf. But, I apologize because for not getting this on the meeting minutes or the agenda because I didn't get my answer till this weekend. December 11th, I got a message from Greg of GM Tree Tech. They weren't going to be able to do the tree till spring. They, personnel, not enough people to be able to take the tree down.
Yeah, it's a big tree.
And having difficulty hiring anybody. And his last part of his message was call me and we'll discuss it. I placed 3 phone calls to his 259 number, never got a call back, left a message. So I got in touch with one of his former employees and got a cell number. Called the cell twice, never got a message, called back from the guy.
Want me to
So
call?
then I went last week and contacted the former employee, and said, listen, have him give me a call, reach out to him, maybe he'll, and have him give me a call. And I got I talked to the former employee yesterday, who said, I talked to him, but if he hasn't called you by now, earlier in the week, hasn't called you by now, I'd probably go another route. So, I don't know if that's what the board wants to do, or,
After, and maybe I don't want to open a can of worms here, but after tonight, when the meeting first started, do we actually, is somebody else going to be responsible for that? They own that land?
Yeah, I would say we need to, let's put everything on hold
put it
until
all
we
on
do
hold.
some, let's do some more work, especially with our visitor tonight.
just to let you know, in that file is the deed signed by the Spaffords in July 1974.
Correct.
Deeding that to
The town.
of Clarendon.
Correct.
Right, so
The disputed, if I am
Is-
correct, is the graves that are outside
Who
the
outside of the
fence,
fence.
right? So,
but in that conversation, when we started investigating, outside what was the original fence,
yeah.
then he moved that fence. Well, I can't remember whether it was 2 or 3 of his own relatives
Correct.
are buried in that.
That thing is a
They're
mother,
outside.
mother-in-law or
Correct.
something like that.
So I don't want to go into the weeds here too far because first off, it's not. We need to do our homework before we get to it. But one simple question can be answered. We have a deed from the Spaffords. Was in the midst of everything before I came on the board. I know George would have been on the board. You would have been on the board. Bob would have been on the board, and probably Artie. And I don't know who else at that point. Did you guys get it surveyed so that we know where the actual boundaries are?
We didn't survey it. Supposedly,
We paid a surveyor to survey his property, and then that survey
Yeah.
was put in with all the records.
Okay, so there's a survey that exists at least of one of the properties. Because if that's the case, it should guide where our boundaries are. Okay,
We'll do our homework.
let's do some homework. I don't think you need to call Bill yet, but I think we've got to determine. I do vaguely remember one letter exchange maybe since I've been on the board, but it was all, the bulk of this was all prior to even me
That's right.
coming on the board.
There's
Yeah.
substantial files regarding this.
Oh, I know.
matter.
From back in prior to, well, it would have been prior to 2012 or 13.
Well, and typically, so since I've been on board, it has come up, and it's come up twice actually since I've been on board. And each time we've gone back to this file that has everything.
Okay.
Well, I sat in this office
I
about
know,
3
I know.
hours one day, going all the way back to
Yeah.
probably the 90s,
Yeah.
Okay.
late
So
90s.
there's a lot of documentation to review.
So let's brush up on it. Let's get the pertinent information, if we can, out to the new members, because I know Art's new. Again, the bulk of it happened, of the big stuff happened before I was even on board. I know it's cropped up with a letter or two since I've been on the board, but it's been very, very minor what's cropped up since I've been on the board, because you guys were literally, you were wrapping it up when I got elected. I know that much because it was at that point that I can just barely remember, and it was early that first year I was here, that Bill Bloomer sent a letter and said he considered basically the matter closed until future whatever, unless it was desired to be reopened by Mr. Stone, which clearly now it's desired to be reopened. So
I was still on the board the first year that you.
that's right. You and I had a year overlap,
Yes.
and that's when it was all kind of
Prior
put to
that,
bed,
there
supposedly.
was some action prior to that, but even almost 10 years before that, when he first came to us with his concerns.
Yep.
Okay. So this is going back a ways.
About 3-4 years ago, wasn't there right away?
We had an encroachment
That's another,
issue.
That's another issue.
because his
I remember
original
that.
thing was that he wanted to take and move the driveway from where it was.
That's right.
And put it right
Yeah.
next to the stone wall, next to where the church is.
That's right, because there was that is coming back to me now. So we did have an encroachment on the right of way since
Yes.
when I was here. The
That happened like
boat and the whatever. That was like a year or two
And he
ago.
dug the holes and put all the garbage in the holes.
Just as I, we got appointed, spring of 21, there was, been cleaned up. Had
Okay.
piles of dirt there, it was like
Yeah,
a obstacle course. Good thing.
Okay, so
we'll get
long story
everything.
short, let's figure out if we can get this put to bed. I mean, it'd be nice to have it done once and for all, so that we
But-
don't have to worry about it.
but I have a question.
Yeah.
The tree is in the established graveyard.
Correct. So what I would like to see is, I don't want to go off the word of a former employee. I want to know, if we can, from the guy himself.
From Greg himself.
Yeah,
whether he wants to
if
cut
if
it
he
in.
doesn't want it, that's fine, and we'll move on to the next person.
Actually,
But
can you remind me tomorrow? I'll just call Greg. He usually gets right back to me.
okay, so let's have Cash just try to contact him, and if he says move on, we'll move on. That's not a problem.
His final words in his message that he gave me, and I've got no problem waiting. It's not as if,
Yeah.
except we went up there a couple weeks ago after the storm over the Christmas holidays. We were out looking at people's, and I mean, there's stuff littered on the ground that came out of a tree.
Okay.
Yeah,
But his final words are, or if you want, if you're in a hurry, you can have the next person in line go ahead and do it, if they wanna do it. Just keep me posted and let me know. Well, I've been
Okay.
trying to talk to him.
So, in that case, who technically is next in line for us to reach out to?
I would basically trees.
Yep.
because they have a crane and stuff.
So if that's, I mean, we have that in writing. So if that's what's in writing, what's your thought?
If they're still standing because the price of fuel and everything else might have changed, you don't know.
That's true too.
Right, but I'm saying, if he'll give you a call back, I got no problem you making a call to him. If he'll give you a call back. For all I know, he might be in Florida.
Yeah.
The issue is if you
He's
want
probably
to
in
reach out to
Springfield.
him-
He works a lot in Springfield on Mountain Power down there,
Okay.
or the power system.
Well, let's see if we hear from him. If not, let's move down the list. Next meeting.
Yep, sounds good.
I mean, it makes sense. Trees will do it this time of year, won't they?
Can't see why not.
No, they're doing a lot of work, aren't they, with GM?
Get them scheduled.
At least get them on the books.
He may want to come back and look at it again.
Yeah.
I mean, the quote was in August.
Yeah. All right, moving right along. Do you have any concerns?
Yeah, but I really don't want to bring it up because we've already beat it like a dead horse before.
That's okay.
Transfer station, horse,
Okay.
plowing. He made the comment yesterday that if we don't get over there in time, And I told him it's a liability issue. If he can actually make a couple scoops around just to open it up if we're not there. We try our damnedest to get there.
So I went
Yeah.
over on Saturday, and it was described to me. First off, he was very apologetic about what happened
Oh, I heard
before.
about that too.
But what he described to me was that he was just going to drop. If you guys weren't there yet, he was going to drop his plow at least coming in, so he didn't. That was the way it was described to me. Basically, he was going to drop his plow so that he wasn't driving over a foot of snow and just pushing whatever.
Yeah, in that case, there's no sense to open the gates because cars can't get in and trucks get in anyways. But I told
Did
him
it did it turn into an issue, or what? I should say, was there anything done before you got there, or was it, or have you not? You probably.
And you guys got
Baker,
over there.
Baker went over yesterday when we had some time.
Yeah.
We had some idle time. He went over with the little truck and plowed it out.
Okay.
And then I went over there today and just did the open for the gates.
Yeah.
And then I ended up on the mountain.
Okay.
So first thing tomorrow morning, I'm going over and plow it out with a little truck.
First thing.
Yep. Because hopefully no snow.
You'll probably get there before he will, anyway, won't you?
Yeah, we'll come in at 6.
And he didn't
What-
open that
what
What's
do they
till
the
get
hours
there?
tomorrow?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
Oh, you got plenty of time.
It's supposed to be, yeah.
10 o'clock is
10 o'clock. They're usually there by
9.
Well, he gets in there.
Well,
They
rather-
they get in there earlier. They
I'd
get
rather
in there
be
like
in there
7 or 8
before they're
o'clock.
there. That way I don't have to plow around their cars. I'd
Yeah.
be in the neck.
Well, let's see if it's an issue tomorrow. If it turns into an issue, we'll address it.
Mhm.
That's my thought.
Yep. Other than that, I don't have nothing else. I'm hungry.
I'm good. You?
I'm all set. I would say thank you to the road crew for their efforts that they put in. Certainly, the last 24 hours was not easy. So,
You did
I
a very
will.
nice job, and
Well-
your whole crew did.
It's the whole crew.
Yeah,
Okay,
never
thank you.
forget them.
I have to remind you once in a while, George. And I have another problem with this.
You have to realize I'm getting older.
I know. This is the problem.
Go ahead.
You're getting
Become
over.
the select board. You're gonna be sitting next to me.
Well, you'll have to behave.
so moved.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.